Good day, grade 10, for our lesson 2 in arts, postmodernism, and contemporary art. Art continues to evolve over time. New trends and aesthetics are formed. Advances in technology and changes in ideology result in new art movements and styles. Modernism soon gave way to a new aesthetic, one that rejected ideas and philosophies of its predecessor. This was called postmodernism, and in turn, it brought in the period of contemporary art. For your first activity, answer I know 5 items for 3 minutes. Are you done checking your activity? Now, let's move on to the differences of postmodernism and contemporary art. First one is the postmodernism art. It is the reaction against modernism, 1970s and beyond, and it brought about by the disillusionment and the brutality of World War II. Artists believe that the art is for everybody, and also art should be inclusive in the meaning a viewer gives the artwork is valid as the artist. The artwork is secondary to the concept behind the art. Style and attitude that started in the 1970s and it has a fixed length. Second one is the contemporary art. It is the art of the present. It started in 1960s as some of an art movements start to move away from the aesthetic and ideology of the modern period. And also, art refers to the artwork made within a 50 years period until the present. Now let's talk about important examples of postmodernism and contemporary art forms and styles. First one is the pop art from 1955 to 1970. Its name was coined by a British curator, Lawrence Alloway. It expressed by daring, simple, and everyday images from contemporary culture. Common images used in pop art come from advertisement, packaging, comic strips, movie stars, celebrities. It wanted art to be inclusive and relatable to its viewers. It used ordinary consumer products as subject for their art, such as Campbell soup cans of Andy Warhol that you will see in the next slide. It focused on capturing people's attention as with the bright imagery seen in Roy Lichtenstein comic strip blow-ups and Claes Oldenburg's large-scale sculptures of familiar objects. That is the Campbells or the 32 Campbell soup cans, 1968 by Andy Warhol. Now let's talk about happenings from 1960s up to present. It was an avant-garde art form first developed during the Dada movement in the early 20th century. In earliest form, these were events where artists came together and presented spontaneous performances that combined the elements of drama and visual arts. It is first used by Alan Capro from 1927 to 2006. It is one of the example of happenings. Argentine artist Marta Minigin wrapped in newspaper in Rio de la Plata border between Argentina and Uruguay. The happenings is, ito yung gustong mangyari ni Alan Capro to immerse the audience. Yung mailagay ng audience yung kanyang sarili dun mismo sa art. Yan yung ilan sa mga example din ni Alan Capro ng happenings na kung saan dito sa part na to sa may ice cubes, mismo yung mga audience na i-experience nila yung happenings entitled Fluid. Then dun sa pangalawang image na kung saan um, kung ako mismo as your art teacher, hindi ko siya consider as art. Para lang siyang basurahan or tambakan lang ng mga gulong. Pero kay Alan Capro, isa siyang art na kung saan nai-involve yung mga audience at nakakabuo siya ng isang art. That is happenings. Now let's talk about performance art. Early 1960s up to present. It is an art form where artist uses himself or herself and his or her live actions to express his or her art. It is often overly theatrical, and its expression can take on the form of intense acting and movement not ordinarily accepted in the theater. It can be performed in front of an intimate group or in front of a large public event. Now let's move on with installation art in early 1960s up to present. It involves the arrangement of objects in a space. It allows the viewer to be in the artwork. It can be simple or elaborated, use different materials, some in small enclosed rooms and some in wide spaces, designed in a specific area or exhibited anywhere. The variations are endless, and it all depends on the artist's ideas and objectives. This is an example of installation art, Embarkment 2005 by Rachel Whitehead. Last one is the graffiti art from 1970 up to present. It is also known as street art, one of the more controversial of the contemporary art forms. City structures were vandalized or decorated with images using spray paints, markers, stencils, acrylics. This public art is commonly done in the sides of buildings, billboards, walls, and public transports. This art form emerged as urban protests became prevalent in Europe and America in the late 1960s. Street artists said that they used this graffiti to express and vent their frustrations in life. Now, we're done with our discussion. For your second activity, answer I achieved 5 items for 3 minutes. Are you done checking your activity? Now, move to learning activity number 1 in your module 3 and also answer learning activity number 2 in your module 3. And for your home-based activity, you will create an artwork that is inspired by Andy Warhol's 32 Campbell soup cans. You will paint an artwork that features canned goods or any of the relief goods that you have received during the quarantine. Ibig sabihin po, maghanap kayo ng canned goods, then you will create an artwork using that canned goods. Then, for your home-based activity number 2, you will research about Filipino artists who uses or is known for that contemporary art style. You will write your research paper or your research on your yellow sheet of paper. That's all for today. I hope that you understand and you learn about postmodernism and contemporary art. Thank you, grade 10.